used to believe everything they taught me in school, that Black history started with slavery, that Africa was just jungles and poverty, that my people didn't have much to be proud of. And I believed it because that's all I was ever told. But the truth changes everything. Up until I was 5 years old, I felt pretty well sheltered from prejudice or racism just because our family circle was small. Growing up adopted a very conservative white family who was religious in a small town in upstate New York. It was only church outings and monthly grocery trips that gave us access to the general public. Then I started kindergarten, and that changed everything. I started seeing myself how they viewed me, and it impacted my life. I had questions but didn't know how to ask them. I could only feel. It was only later on in history class where I felt that the answers were vague. I knew deep down there had to be so much more to African culture, to our history. I had to find out the truth so I could authentically embrace who I am. This episode is about unlearning the lies and reclaiming the truth because when we know who we really are, we move differently. I remember sitting in history class flipping through the pages that barely mentioned Africa, except for slavery. Long before Europe built its first cathedral, Africa was already home to thriving civilizations and centers of learning. Timbuktu, one of the first universities in the world. People traveled all over to study math, science, astronomy, and philosophy. Ancient Egypt. The pyramids weren't built by aliens. They were built by black hands using mathematics and engineering so advanced we still don't fully understand it today. The Sphinx. Its nose was shot off. Why? Because it looked too African. Cleopatra, they tell us she was a pale-skinned queen, but the real power of Egypt came from black kings and queens who influenced the world. When I first learned of all of this, which was not so long ago, quite honestly, I was angry. I don't understand the mindset of wanting to dominate or own another human than to brainwash them into believing that they are not as awesome as they truly are. It's criminal behavior aside from the obvious fact that it's pure evil. The more I learn, the more I realize none of this was an accident. They didn't just forget to teach us this. They chose not to. So why don't they teach us this? Why do they act like black greatness is a footnote in history? The deliberate erasure of black contributions, the whitewashing of historical figures, how textbooks minimize or distort black achievements, the way the media reinforces negative stereotypes instead of celebrating our true legacy. Mansa Musa, the richest man in history, not Rockefeller, not Bezos, a black African ruler whose wealth and empire were unmatched. Yet most people don't even know his name. Imhotep, the first recorded genius in history, mastering architecture, medicine, and philosophy. His name should be as well known as Aristotle or Da Vinci, but it's not. There was a specific moment when I realized how much history was hidden from me, and it was later on in my years, and it really messed with me because of how big the cover up is. If I had known growing up, I would have moved differently, and that's exactly why they hide it. This isn't just about the past, it's about right now, about how we see ourselves and what we believe we're capable of. How this lost history has affected black identity today. How different would our communities look if we all grew up knowing we came from kings, scholars, and builders? How would it change the way young black kids see their futures if they knew their ancestors created the foundations of civilization. I realized this in stages, and being spiritual, it came to me in spiritual ways. Then I would research what I heard in my quiet time, and I found confirmation. Self esteem was not a thing in my life for many reasons. Being adopted comes with identity issues anyway, so to add on the race factor made it that more challenging to build confidence. Coming upon this knowledge in my history, it's been so healing and it's helped me build a foundation of peace. We've been taught to accept a version of history that keeps us in a box, but when you know the truth, that box doesn't fit anymore. So, next time someone tries to tell you Black history starts with slavery, hit them with the facts. We are the blueprint, and it's time we start acting like it. I want to encourage you, if you are listening, to dig deeper, ask questions, share what you learn. I'm going to leave you with a challenge. If something doesn't sit right with you, if history isn't adding up, go find the truth for yourself. That's it for now. Don't forget to subscribe and share with friends. Until next time, everyone.